What's up everybody, welcome back to the channel and another Outriders video. A couple of days ago I made a poll on YouTube essentially asking the audience which weapons in Outriders they feel need some reworking or some TLC or just some general changes to make them more viable than, let's call it, the more popular ones, like I would say LMGs and shotguns and probably assault rifles, more specifically tactical assault rifles. And firstly, what definitely was apparent to me is that I'm kind of like on the same train of thought as most of you, and that at least means, you know, something in terms of like the ones that we can talk about, because I think in general there are three top weapon classes which we all feel are a little bit underwhelming, but which would be better if certain things were changed about them. Now, the footage that you're seeing running in the background right now is me actually trying out a sniper build for the Technomancer. And coincidentally, that brings us to our first weapon type, and that is of course sniper rifles. Now, I'm not specifically focusing on any kind of variant here. I'm using like a bolt action one-shot one in the footage that you're seeing in the background, but I'm talking more about sniper rifles in general. And I think, again, looking at some of the comments that I've received as well as some of the discussions that I've had with viewers on our Thursday night carry streams, which by the way you should absolutely check out. Every single Thursday we play Outriders together on this channel. I start streaming at about 8 o'clock CET. We do carries, you guys carry me, I carry you, we just hang out, we have some beers, we have a good time. It really is cool, and it just helps to build the anticipation for Worldslayer, which is of course coming out at the end of June. And when it comes to sniper rifles, I think there's two schools of thought here, I would say. Basically, I believe that there are some people that feel that they don't scale very well, and so the footage once again that you're seeing in the background is me running solo, and there it really certainly does make the sniper rifle look kind of snappy and looks really cool. I get some really good shots with that. It's usually 2 or 3 shots to kill a champion or an elite and 1 shot to kill a normal guy, which is cool, and which is kind of like the sort of power fantasy or the strength where I'd want sniper rifles to be. Now, of course, I'm using a specific mod combination here that enhances that first shot damage. And so the thing for me is, the first, like I said, the first school of thought is the power of the weapons not scaling well. So if I was to use the same build that you're seeing in the background right now and actually run that in a group, then of course the efficiency of my bullets would definitely go down. I would not be dealing nearly as much damage as I'm doing right now, and therefore it starts sort of like going away from the whole idea of a sniper rifle, which is kind of like a, I don't expect it to be a one-shot kill every time. But the point when you have to start shooting something 7, 8, 9, 10 times to actually kill it with a sniper rifle, it gets a little bit irritating. Now, that coincidentally brings us to the second school of thought when it comes to sniper rifles, and that is something that I think and that your clip size, and I mean the bullets that you carry with you, not what's in the gun, but your reserve, is actually too low when it comes to sniper rifles. This is, generally speaking, just a sort of like the style of play that you have with a sniper rifle is that you're in the background. I mean, you're not going to be running in and face tanking stuff and sniping them that way. That means that when you kill enemies and they drop ammo, they drop it where they die. So a lot of the times you can find yourself, if you're extremely good at sniping, if you're very efficient with it, then you can find yourself essentially zoning out the whole area, taking everything down with nice crisp shots. But then right when you're about to finish, or there's a couple of enemies left, you seem to be running out of ammo and you have to switch to your secondary because you're not near an ammo box, and all of the ammo that is dropped off the enemies that you've killed is lying all the way further downrange in the battlefield. Now, I think there's a lot of different ways that you can address this. Of course, the first and the easiest one would just be to make the reserve of the gun bigger. I don't think there's necessarily any detriment to this, unless the idea, of course, of people can fly is to kind of force you into combat and to want you to be in the thick of things, so they don't really want you to play this sort of sniper style. And there's certainly maybe some truth to that if you think about it, because this is in actual fact a shooter that you can go into cover with, but it's generally not expected of you to do that, and it's actually quite detrimental to you to play it as a cover-based shooter, because the whole way how damage in this game works, and especially the way how healing mechanics in this game work, generally mean that you want to be extremely aggressive and you want to be dealing as much damage as possible so that you can get as much healing as possible. So I don't know, perhaps we have a sort of like a clash of two worlds here, where the idea is that people can fly want to have a much more aggressive combat style, and so sniping or passively sniping perhaps doesn't support that, and that is why we see this. But I digress. To get back to the topic, ammo management with it is a problem, and certainly increasing the reserve would be a big step in the right direction. Perhaps sniper rifles need to have a mechanic built into them that if you pull off 3 headshots or 3 crit shots in a row, then it refunds 2 or 3 bullets into your reserve or something like that. I think that's certainly a much more difficult thing to plan, and perhaps that could be something that gets put into a legendary sniper or something like that. Although that would mean that you would only be able to use that legendary sniper unless it's a mod that you can put onto other sniper rifles. But in any case, this to me is probably my biggest complaint, more so than the power not scaling so much. It's something that I can kind of wrap my head around, and there's certainly different mods that you can stack that would definitely address the power gap that you see when it comes to duos and trios. But the fact that you really struggle with ammo management, at the very least I really struggle with ammo management, and I feel that my reserve is too little, is one of the things that holds me back from playing sniper more often. Then the second weapon that I want to talk about is pistols. And this is more, I guess, just a me thing, but I definitely think the idea of essentially making a pistol build and having that be, competitive in terms of damage with some of the other builds that we're seeing is definitely something that I'd love to give it a try. But the way that pistols are in the game right now, it doesn't matter which mod combination, which talent tree combination, which class tree combination, whatever you do, there is simply just not any way that you can make pistols as good at dealing damage as the other weapons do, just simply because their damage it doesn't scale as high as any other weapon type for that matter. That's because they're hard capped at like, I think it's 65k or something like that, so inherently they just have less firepower. So then generally what pistols are used for is rather something like I guess you could call it a mod stick or something like that. So essentially you put some more moaning winds on there or something so that you have another weapon that you can rotate to and get this. Or you put, kinetic, I think it's kinetic stomp or whatever, but you know what I mean. The idea is that you put mods onto the pistol that don't really depend on the pistol's damage itself, but rather just the ability that it's another thing for you to trick or to trigger mods off of. So again, that means that pistols can never be more than that, and so I would definitely, for me, it would be cool if pistols also scaled at least just in terms of firepower the same as the other weapons. Whether that makes them viable and usable, I don't know. Certainly the fact that they have unlimited ammo is something that needs to be borne in mind, because the point is, if they roll as high as any other gun can roll, like an assault tactical rifle or an LMG or a shotgun or anything like that, then it means that you can essentially use them as the main damage dealers. And since you have unlimited ammo, and since they have fairly large clips, most of them, it would be quite interesting to build some bullet builds around that. And I don't know if that would maybe then invalidate some of the other weapon types. So who knows? But I definitely think in this world that we're living in right now, where people can fly, are really accentuating build diversity and play the game the way that you want to play it, because there's no more timers on expeditions, anything like that. So if anything that you want to use in the game, you can use. It feels a little bit like pistols got left behind, because still, if you want to make a full-on firepower build using pistols, you will just be outperformed by any other class by default. And it's not because you're playing bad, it's not because you have bad mods or anything like that, it's just that they are weaker by design. Lastly, let's talk about double guns. Make no mistake, I love Amber Vault with Killing Spree and Dark Sacrifice on as much as the next guy, and I actually think it's a really fun gun to use, especially if you're playing Technomancer with blighted rounds. It really is an insane bullet hose. But I struggle to understand the identity of the double gun, because it kind of seems wedged in between LMGs and assault rifles. And let's say if we were to say that assault rifles, the inherent advantage that assault rifles has over an LMG, for instance, is the fact that it's more accurate and the fact that you can reload it quicker. Let's make those, and let's also say perhaps it has a range advantage. So let's say those are the 3 criteria that essentially make an assault rifle inherently better, if you're looking for those weapons in that category that make it better than an LMG. Then we turn to an LMG and we say, okay, cool, but an LMG has a higher rate of fire most likely, and it has a much more, you know, sustained way of dealing damage due to the fact that you have a large magazine, and you can essentially, you know, suppress a lot more with an LMG. And then probably also, let's say that, and again, I'm speaking hypothetically here, so this is not this is not truthful for all weapons in this class, but let's say then that also a LMG just straight up deals more damage than an assault rifle does, although certainly tactical assault rifles would like to have a word with you if you say that. The point is just that if double guns are like the go-between between those, it's weird because they kind of have all the disadvantages and the advantages of these two scenarios that I just painted baked into one gun. So again, I'm not saying that double guns aren't fun to use, and I've had a lot of fun with Amber Vault, but it's just it's a weird identity for the weapon for me. And generally speaking, if I'm picking guns and I'm playing a firepower build, I'm playing a Technomancer, I want to use blighted rounds, then I'll be like, okay, do I want to be sort of in the back row and I want to be able to deal damage from afar and I want to be extremely accurate? Then I'm gonna go for a tactical rifle of the assault, an assault rifle of the tactical variant. Let me say it the right way around. Whereas if I want to just go buck wild and have a fucking massive magazine and essentially just spray and pray and go ape shit, then I'd go for an LMG. Now, I'm not considering mod choices here. I'm simply just talking about it in the frame of that. And then there's no real room for a double gun in that discussion, because with a double gun you have the magazine size that you would expect from an LMG, and in most cases you also have the firing rate, which is great. But the point is, as soon as you open the gun up and start shooting, it's like spread profile fucking increases so much that essentially you're painting a wall with the gun. And then you have to get a lot closer with the weapon, which again, like I said, sort of like defeats the purpose of having something like this, because you essentially want to still use it in the sort of like the medium to long range, so that you can essentially get most of the buffs, like for instance if you're playing a Technomancer, because that's the way that the tree is built. So this is a tough one. With both of the other two weapons that we discussed, snipers and pistols, I feel like I made some suggestions which could possibly make those guns more attractive. With double guns, I just don't know. It's a weird one for me that I can't necessarily say, okay, but change this about double guns and then it makes them better. I mean, I could very easily say, okay, cool, maybe double guns, how they should work is the longer you hold in the fire button, there should be a slight ramping up of damage, or a slight ramping up of the speed, right? The bullets per minute, or the rate of fire, so that maybe for every second that you hold it in, it shoots like, I don't know, 2% faster, or fucking 10% faster. I think that would be broken as fuck. But the thing is, it needs something to kind of like make it different than the rest, is basically what I'm trying to say. And yeah, that's basically then the three weapons themselves. So snipers, pistols, and double guns. I don't know how much I know as much as you guys do, so I don't know if any of these things are being looked at, are being changed for Worldslayer, if there are any plans down the line after Worldslayer to have a look at these, if there are different other weapons coming to the game, all of that. I'm certainly I would think that People Can Fly would have highlighted that in maybe some of the material we've seen already, but who knows. But yeah, I just figured it would be a good thing to start this discussion, and sort of, it's a game that obviously we all love on this channel and I love talking about it. So I just wanted to get it out to a wider audience in case anybody didn't see that poll and anybody wants to become part of the conversation. So let me know in the comments below what you think, which weapon type you would rather have them look at instead of the three that I've mentioned, or just what you would suggest for them to change to make these a lot more viable and something that you would pick up. But that's it for the video. Thank you so much for watching, especially if you made it this far. It's just super important to me that you have a fantastic morning, afternoon, and evening wherever you are in the world. And until next video, fucking cheers.
They want the best of me now, best of me now, best of me now, best of me. They want the best of me now, best of me now, best of me now, best of me.